So for a while now I've been contemplating doing videos again for this channel, mainly like niche reviews. And so while filming stuff, I discovered that a director of one of my favorite films has died. Isao Takahata. And definitely impacted me a little. You know, Takahata and Studio Ghibli have been definitely an important part of my life. You know, growing up as a teenager, you know, I first saw Spirited Away and then Howl's Moving Castle. And then from there, you know, I really wanted to start collecting all the films and watching them. And Ghibli became a big gateway into discovering my love for Japanese cinema. And then there was Grave of the Fireflies. Now up to that point, I had been sad at films before. I had cried a little at films before. But this was one of the first films to really deeply impact me emotionally. You know, filming with sadness really made me bawl. And it's completely heartbreaking. But it's also one of the most beautiful animated films ever made. Some of the way that Takahata uses light and just the whole style of it, it's just so, you know, gorgeous to look at. And to this day it remains my favourite Ghibli film and one of my all-time favourite films. Which is funny because I got into Ghibli because of the fantasy and the, you know, imagination behind everything, but my favourite ends up being this grounded war movie, you know, about two orphans struggling to survive in society. You know, I've even managed to get through a number of viewings of this, which I know a lot of people, they see it once and it's too sad for them to come back to. But I've always came back to it because of its beauty and because it's so great. It really is a masterpiece. I think it really influenced the different subject matter that could be animated on screen. You know, it definitely was such a massive influence. And when people talk about Ghibli, you know, a lot of the focus is usually on Miyazaki. A lot of people know who Miyazaki is, but Takahata, I don't think he really had that same recognition as such. But he was just as important as a figure, you know, especially to Studio Ghibli and the animation world. He co-founded Studio Ghibli. He produced Nausicaa for the Valley of the Wind, which without we probably wouldn't have, you know, the Ghibli that we have today. We wouldn't have Studio Ghibli probably. Oh, he produced a bunch of other works too, but he also directed more than one film, and all of them were varied. You know, he was always varied with his output, which is always like quite fascinating, really. You know, I haven't seen much of his pre-Grave of the Fireflies work, but I did see The Little Norse Prince, which was a great little fantasy adventure. And then you've got Only Yesterday, which was drama that was released in the 90s, but only a couple of years ago did they finally give it an English dub. It was one of the only Ghibli films to not have an English dub for so long. That's another really good, you know, just realistic drama. And then you've got Pompoko, where else are you going to see animated raccoon dogs throw their enlarged testicles in people's faces for the environment and whatnot? And then another completely different film, you go My Neighbor the Amadas, following a family in like different segments, done in this really simple watercolor style. And then there's his final movie, Tales of Princess Kaguya, another masterpiece. Another one done in such a gorgeous animated style, different style to all his other work. One that I just loved, and the first one I actually got to experience of his in a cinema. I actually got to see it on the screen. It should have won the Academy Award for Best Animated Film, but it was still beautiful to me. And even like one of the pieces of score I ended up using as a ringtone of mine. That story that he adapted had been adapted many times, that the Princess Over the Moon story, that's definitely the best adaptation of it that I've seen, and another one of my favourite Ghibli films. So Takahata's work is something that's always going to stick with me, you know, and be an influence to me. Grave of the Firefly is such an important film in many different ways. Takahata was such an important figure as well. You know, his influence can be felt in the animation and, you know, in film itself. It's sad that to know that his talent is finally just gone. I mean, he got to live to the age of 82. That's a pretty good age, you know. He definitely had quite a full life. But he will be missed. And his films will stay in my heart forever. Rest in peace, Takahata. Rest in peace.